Hello, and welcome back to Dylan and Ross Save Sports. How you doing today, Ross?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I am your host, as always, Dylan Sanders. You can find me on Twitter at Dilly Sanderson. Joining me today, as always, is Ross Jackson. You can find on Twitter at Dilly Sanders.
Yep.
That's it.
All right. See ya.
All right, that was the show, guys. All right, bye. How you doing today, Ross?
I'm good, man. It's been a very busy day. You know, Wednesdays are always kind of hectic for me with all the meetings and such, but we had a big day today for New Orleans media. Wow. Ryan Ramczyk getting that big old contract. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and much more throughout the day, but that was pretty much what has like eaten up my day. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and then that is also probably the reason that the Pelicans haven't announced who they're hiring yet, even though everyone kind of knows who it is.
Yeah. Who do you think it is, Dylan?
I think it's going to be Willie Green.
Willie Green.
Have you not seen all the news about Willie Green today, Rob?
Oh yeah, I have.
Okay, good.
That's the is that the Trailblazers
Suns.
Suns assistant.
And it was also the Warriors assistant for two of their championship runs.
Remember the last one they did that? They brought in a guy, Alvin Gentry. That worked out great.
Oh, and you know what, Roswell? How he's different is they haven't done this in a while. He's a defensive-minded head coach.
Wow.
But something tells me Willie Green will have a little bit more of a connection to the players than Stan Van Gundy did.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I think you're probably right there.
I hope he all I hate is I hope he does a really good job.
Jeez. Oh man.
I've been cooking that one for about 19 minutes now.
You right though. He gonna do a really good job. I don't know. I think that would be an interesting hire for them. It's a funny one because it's like nowhere near anything that anybody had been talking about until today, which is kind of how you know it's about to happen, right?
Yep. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that news tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we would have gotten it today if it weren't for the Saints extending Ryan Ramczyk and also the Saints and the Pelicans being the same organization.
Right.
And not wanting to overload the news for one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't want to step on the other. And I think there's also like a reputation too that like the Saints are more important than the Pelicans, so it would have been weird to like announce one and then the other on the same day in either order, right? It just would have been like a strange thing to do when you're trying to fight that reputation as well. And stuff. So,
Ross, do you have everything from Twitter?
do I?
I have
No,
mine. If you want to
not
play,
at the
if you want
moment.
me to play mine, and then we can get into
Yeah,
Mine's
go
not going to
for it.
lead in. It's a video. It's courtesy of the Momentum podcast. The quarterback for USC, Mo Hassan, has a podcast,
Alright.
and he had Keaton Slovis on,
Yes.
and they were talking about opposing fans and who. Before we get into this, Ross, who do you think is the most intimidating fan base to play against for a Pac-12 team?
For a Pac-12 team?
They're not necessarily in the conference. There's just a Pac-12 team could play. You know, who do you think on all could it be?
Oh, that's interesting. Now I have no idea where to go because I have like every option. BYU?
Let's get into it, Ross.
Let's do it.
Oh, oh! I should probably share the video. You know what I mean?
That'd help.
Nope.
It's going great.
There you go.
So my freshman year playing at BYU is like Provo's a weird place.
Provo,
I heard
man.
it's like a Twilight Zone type.
Yeah, that's what we
Bro,
were saying. Like,
Provo's dope, man.
Why do you like
oh
Provo?
my gosh,
Yeah, bro.
Have you been to
You ever
Provo?
seen the Truman?
I was on
Truman
a-
Show?
You're hilarious.
That's Provo, Utah. That's what we say all the
Yeah.
time. That's Provo, Utah. You go in and like people are like smiling, like "Thank you for coming to play." I'm like,
Okay, that's
so and we're like, "What?" And like they're like usually they heckle you, and like the people at the stadium are waiting there with like shower bag goodies for after your game, and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "I hope you enjoy it. Like, good luck to you guys." And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Like too nice.
95% of the place isn't drinking. So you like,
Yeah.
I think that's almost more intimidating because you're going in there and usually like kids are heckling you or people are heckling you like, all right, they're just drunk. Every person in that stadium is sober heckling you. So then when they heckle at you or like they say stuff and they're like not cussing, they're like Slovis, you stink. And you're like, they're right behind your bench, and you're like, in the back of your mind, you're like, this dude's sober.
I nailed it.
You did.
I nailed it. Yeah, I feel like that would be a really strange place to play because it's very like it's funny you mentioned the Truman Show. I was thinking like Stepford Wives. Like everything is like so like perfect and in its place in terms of like what that community is in Provo, and then like having to play there, and then yeah, that would be really strange to me because you're expected to come in with a competitive spirit, right?
Yeah. You know, there's something there's something weird about being nice in a competitive.
Yeah, especially when it
environment.
includes giving you toiletries.
Yeah. Here's some shampoo. Have a nice game.
Right.
I don't understand. It's creepy. It would be. I think it would be creepy to play in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I wonder if there's some way that we could create that, but I don't know how.
Utah, I don't like you. We're gonna come film a podcast.
There we go. We should go do a live
podcast.
podcast at Provo.
A live anti-Provo pod.
Yeah.
When does LSU play Provo next time?
I don't know. Probably something a while, like 2026 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
They already have schedules built out to 2030.
Ross, you know what a matchup that happens every now and then in women's basketball? LSU versus UConn. And I need over the next 2 years for LSU to play UConn so that I can go see Paige Buckets in person. And I will have a hard time not rooting for Paige Buckets, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, of course. So you should be.
Sorry, LSU, but you know.
You can still root for Paige Buckets to have a great game, but root for LSU to win.
I just got to root for the downfall of the entire rest of the UConn roster, which I have no problem doing.
Which is fine. Which is fine. That's fine.
Oh man, Ross, how you doing?
Good, man. I have a performance of the day.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Ross.
So we should talk a little bit about the Atlanta Hawks and Milwaukee Bucks game. And I know that like when we talk about it, it's really going to center a lot around Giannis Antetokounmpo and the injury that took place and things like that. But before we get to that, just a quick shout out to Lemon Pepper Lou, man. Lemon Pepper Lou coming through with the 21-point game, the 8 assists, the 5 rebounds in a game with no Trae Young. They had a couple of different scorers in the 20s, him and Bogdanovich as well. And then they had a few 15-point scorers, including Kayvon Herter. And so this is that Hawks team played extremely well even before like the injury happened, and then you kind of understand what happened with the Bucks at that point moving forward. But they outscored this team. They were playing very well. That's all I want to say. Like they do that. I know that we're gonna chalk up the injury, or we're gonna chalk up the loss for the Bucks to the injury in the long term, but it shouldn't be forgotten how good the Hawks played this game last night without their star player in Trae Young.
Yeah, they were winning before. Yeah, they were winning before Giannis even got out. Like so, they came out and played.
Yeah,
and shout out to them.
yeah.
And of course tonight is another NBA game. But first, I want to get into my performance of the day, Ross. And it leads into what you started off the show with. My performance of the day is Saints salary cap Twitter. It's undefeated anytime the Saints make a move.
Stay winning.
I saw someone, I don't even know his name anymore, but he said something. It was some verified guy said something about the Saints, and then within 30 minutes he tweeted, I learned something today. Do not mess with Saints Twitter. And that is my biggest piece of advice to anybody outside of Saints Twitter is just don't talk about the Saints. You're not going to win. You're not going to win.
No,
you're just going to regret it.
Yeah. Stay away.
Leave. Let us be. We're too busy fighting with ourselves.
Right.
Like, there's so much pent up aggression in Saints Twitter that anytime we have someone like an outsider to target, it will happen.
Saints Twitter will complain the next time the Saints win a Super Bowl. Like there will be something will be wrong. Like they'll find something. It's like
two firsts didn't get a sack in the game.
Right. Like there will be like this is you don't know if you haven't been here, you don't know how to be here. So stay away from here. Just go to Cardinals Twitter, or something really light, and that like isn't gonna bother you, and stuff like that. Like go mess with
New York Jets Twitter.
Yeah, the Jets Twitter. Don't come over
which
here
doesn't
to Saints
exist.
Twitter. I know, right? Don't come over here to Saints Twitter. Like, just mind
Go
your
to go to Las Vegas Raiders Twitter.
There you go. They're very happy. Like they're having a good time and everything like that.
They're partying.
They're partying. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen with their quarterback and where he's going to be and stuff like that. Like there's good conversations to be had over there, and people are pretty realistic about it. Don't come over here. Leave
Nope.
us alone. We're
Nope.
good. We're good. We don't need you. Your opinions. You're good.
Don't.
You got
just
something
like-
nice to say? Come through though.
Yeah, come through. K.
Steve
Adams.
Weish. Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah, come over,
y'all-
come through.
Y'all are invited to the cookout. Everybody else can step.
Never. Don't
Get to stepping.
get away from me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Stone Cold could come through Saints Twitter. We use
Oh,
his
yeah.
gifts a lot. We use a lot of Stone Cold gifts.
Stone Cold is a surprising human being, and I'll leave it at
He
that.
really is. He's an extremely surprising human being. I watched his A&E documentary not too long ago. Mad surprising human being, and it's awesome. And it's super.
An awesome human
Yeah.
human being, but also surprising.
Yeah.
I don't think those things are mutually exclusive.
Right. Right.
Like, I'll just say he's not a Larry the Cable Guy. He is a not surprising human being.
Right. Oh man, I absolutely love it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the. So we learned today that with Giannis Antetokounmpo, the injury to his knee came down. As you can say, hyperflex or hyperextended his knee. They were concerned about serious structural or serious ACL damage. We learned today, though, no structural damage according to Woj per tweet that he tweeted out earlier today. But I have to say that it feels unlikely that he would be playing tomorrow, even without structural damage. And if
Well, he's already out for tomorrow.
he's
I
already
think.
out, right? Yeah. So that's one of the big things where like we look at. I love the Cable Guy best Jim Carrey film. Shout out Jim Carrey, Canadian Jim Carrey. I think that like one of the things that tweet did was that a lot of people saw that and then were like, I saw some people that were like, great, Bucks are still in this, and it's like I don't know, fam. Like I don't. Even though there's no structural damage, which is good for the long term, Giannis. I don't know that you see him come back during this series, let alone the rest of the playoffs. Like, that would be a stretch, I would say.
I would agree with that. I really don't think that we're going to see him again.
Yeah.
As much as I want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be a triumph for sure if he shows up. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm not going to hold my breath to say that, Giannis is going to be coming back through. And I think that's understandable, right? Like, I mean, that's a scary injury that could have been catastrophic for him and wasn't. And so keep it that way.
Yeah, we got lucky.
Because that thing went ways that thing ain't supposed to go.
It was going whoop, whoop.
That was entirely the incorrect direction. It was kind of gruesome in a way, too, depending upon what your tolerance for injuries are. I mean, it's rough. That's rough. And so he's out. He's out tomorrow. The Hawks are up 3-2 now in the series, if I remember correctly. Isn't that right? That's the or it's yeah, up 3-2 because they took the third win yesterday. So the Hawks will be looking to close it out on tomorrow. But tonight, we get the Phoenix Suns looking to try to close out the Los Angeles Clippers in Los Angeles after dropping Game 5. That series, they still lead, though, 3-2. This is going to be a really fun one to watch. Can they do it? I mean, can the Suns close them out in enemy territory?
I think we do. I think we see the close of the series tonight.
Yeah. I think that, I think you might look at the last game as a bit of a wake-up call, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a little bit of, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. Oh, 2-2. Right. They're one game behind where Phoenix, where the West Coast, where the Western Conference Finals are. Thank you. So it's tied 2-2 now for the Hawks and Bucks. So the Hawks and Bucks will look to close it out over the course of this week. But we could see the Suns finish it up today. I'm going to take the Suns to close it out tonight. There's a part of me that wants to take the Clippers because they won the most recent game. And I think that happens a lot in these 7-game series. Like whichever team just won feels like the better team in a 7-game series, right? Depending upon what you're seeing, right? If it was like 3 wins in a row and then one, then you always expect the team that took the 3-1 lead to come up. So this is that thing now. It's where you were up 3-1. Now it's 3-2. I still think the Suns can close this out tonight. They're going to need a big game from Devin Booker. He's going to have to be able to fight through. Patrick Beverley has to stop trying to kill Suns players on the court. But they're going to have to fight through some really stingy defense that the Clippers have been able to deploy here recently. And it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be able to do it. But I have a lot of faith in the Suns to get it done tonight.
Yeah, me too. For sure. The last game definitely felt like a game like 3-1. I feel like they thought they had the series. You know, they've been on such a long win streak. You know, they lost the game, but like they've been winning. It was up 3-1. Everyone started giving them the series. You know, maybe they kind of got into a lull, which is what you don't want to do. And so now they're like, all right, we can't play around. Let's get this done.
Right. Yeah, and then you also saw a game 5 in which wasn't that Paul George's playoff career high?
He shot
in
15
that
of
game?
20.
Yeah, 15 of 20. So that was the 41-point game. Yeah, that was his playoff career high. You can't expect Paul George to go 15 of 20 again, right? So there's these
especially since he is second in league history in playoff games shooting 25% or less.
Oh, wow. So that's more likely by a wide margin that you would see that happen than him going 15.
I think it's 11 career games, 11 career playoff games shooting 25% or worse.
That's wild.
And there's like some like minimum shot requirement too and stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that the other thing is that the Sun, I think that we often too want to like lean toward the home team in the playoffs because right now you've got the Suns going back, but the Suns right now 5-2 over the course of the playoffs so far on the road, and Devin Booker, of course, had his 47-point game in the Staples Center as well. So like this is a place that they've won before. They've proven that they're road tested. They can go out there and they can win on the road. And they can go out there and they can close out this series this evening. You know, Chris Paul was 8 of 19 in that last game as well. So if you ask me, is Paul George going to go 15 of 20 or is Chris Paul going to go 8 of 19? I'm going to tell you that neither of those are very likely. Going into this next one because Chris Paul probably won't have to take that many shots. I think you're going to see a big game from Devin Booker. You're going to see a big game with DeAndre Ayton dominating inside. I think that you'll see all of that come back this evening to close it out in the Staples Center. Road dogs though -1. The Clippers are favored, so the Suns are +1 road dogs at the moment.
Yeah. What was I say? Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. All in all, I'm just ready for DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I could this be like a game that DeAndre Ayton really like ends up being the difference maker?
I mean, no Zubats, no Kawhi. If you can shut down Paul George going to the rim, then yeah. They weren't able to last time.
Right. Yeah, that's
and
one
to
of the
be
reasons
fair,
why. Yeah, go ahead.
in the last game, I feel like a lot of the Sun starters didn't play along, or was that the game before?
I'd have to look and see.
Oh yeah, no, that was the game. That was the game before. That was the game before. We need to see more from Miles Bridges, who only had 5 points in the last game, 5 points, 3 rebounds. You want to get more out of him. DeAndre Ayton didn't have the best game. But yeah, you really want to see them shut down Paul George driving to the rim.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why you look at him as going 15 and 20 in the last game is because of what he did at the rim, right? He had a plus shot selection consistently in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a high percentage shots over and over and over again. High percentage opportunities over and over and over again, right at the rim. And so I think if you could take that away, then yeah, I think you limit Paul George's scoring. You don't let Terrence Mann go off at any point, right? And then you get your playmakers out there, and you have them playing up to the best of how they serve. Like you don't need a 30-point game from Chris Paul if you can get double-digit assists, and you get Devin Booker set up, and you get DeAndre Ayton set up, and both of them are 20, 30 plus, not both of them 30 plus, but if you get, Devin Booker up to his scoring potential, DeAndre Ayton up to his scoring potential, and then you get good distribution of the basketball, you get good play in the paint on the defensive side, those things will win you this game and will win you this series and send Phoenix to the first final championship they had since Charles Barkley wore the jersey. Mm-hmm. I think it would be great.
Also, coming up in next month, on July 14th, is the WNBA All-Star Game, Ross. And we got the All-Star rosters, and I didn't know this was going to happen, but this is pretty dope. So what they're doing for the All-Star Weekend, they have Team WNBA. So it's the WNBA All-Stars versus the U.S. Women's National Team.
Let's get it. That's dope.
So, of course, as a rundown, the U.S. Women's National Team that will be representing the women in the Olympics is Ariel Atkins, Sue Bird, Tina Charles, Nafisa Collier, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Sylvia Fowles, shout out, the GOAT.
Yeah.
The GOAT, one of the best, arguably the best center in WNBA history. Also, hashtag, LSU Tiger, go Tigers.
Just saying.
Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Jewel Lloyd, Brianna Stewart, Deanna Taurasi, Asia Wilson. Great team.
That is a fantastic team. Jesus.
That team's winning the gold. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But the team WNBA playing against them, Donna Bonner, Liz Cambridge, Kalia Copper, Dearica Hamby, Brianna Jones, Jonquel Jones, Benijah Laney, hashtag mid-range GOAT, Arika Ogunbowale. Also, shout out to her for already being an all-star.
For real.
Candace Parker, Satu Sabali, Courtney Vandersloot, and Courtney Williams.
Nice. It's gonna be a good matchup, but I think the United States Women's National Team is gonna take it. Because that's an incredible roster.
They should, right?
They should. It would be weird if they
representing the country.
Yeah, like there's so many players that are on that national team that should be on otherwise the WNBA All-Star team, right? Like that's the WNBA first team All-Star team, and then you kind of have the second team All-Star team that's there.
Mm-hmm. I like how the U.S. men's team doesn't need to qualify for. It doesn't need to play in the qualifying tournament at all for the Olympics. They're just like, nah, you good.
Yeah,
you good.
The thing that's really interesting. Oh yeah, was Kia Nurse on the list? Kia Nurse is fantastic, by the way.
I believe so.
I wasn't sure if I heard the name.
Let me see. WNBA.
What I'll be very curious about, and it's going to take a little while to figure this out, but what I'll be very curious about is that we have like this women's national team, and then we have them going up against this WNBA All-Star team. In a few
No
years,
Kia Nurse.
No Kia Nurse. In a few years, how many of the people that are on the WNBA team are on the next Olympic national team?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is going to be really interesting to look at. I like this structure a lot. This is really cool.
This is funny. So shout out to at Goldie on Sports, Haley McGoldrick on Twitter. Follow her for a bunch of like women's basketball news. But she shared a picture today, and she didn't know, but someone was looking at old like under 14 basketball rosters and realized that Haley at one point had played against Kia Nurse.
Oh my gosh.
Kia Nurse not in it because she will be representing Canada. Duh.
Ah, okay.
Duh. I forgot about that.
So then she definitely could have been on the WNBA team, though. WNBA All-Star team.
Yeah, Kia Nurse, Aaliyah Edwards among the Canada roster. they're just gonna run into the buzzsaw, though. I mean, why even try to come up with a basketball team against that women's team? You know what I'm
Really,
saying?
like just do the Olympic tournament for silver and bronze.
I mean, that's what it's for, right?
Honestly,
That's what it's for.
You already know where gold is going.
Facts.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Man, I'm just excited for the Olympics. That's all I really gotta say.
Same.
Canada versus China today in the men's qualifying. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, shout out.
Nice.
Canadian team's kind of fun. A good young team. It's Trey Burke, RJ Barrett, Andrew Wiggins, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I think, are like the headliners.
That's a fun team. It's a fun.
That is a fun team. They're gonna, fighting for bronze or silver. You know what I'm saying?
Gonna run as the buzzsaw, but
it's a fun young team.
Right.
Fun young team. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
What you up to the rest of the day, Ross?
Well, for the most part, my day is going to be focused on this New Orleans Saints news with the extension for Ryan Ramczyk, and I want to talk a little bit about it because it has actually some pretty good ripple effects, not just for him as a signing, but also what it could mean for the New Orleans Saints moving forward. So let's jump to the break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that more in detail, and then get to more here on today's episode. Dylan and Rouse, save the sports. Dylan and Rouse. We'll be back. All right, we're on break.
Oh, so I found out we talked about my social media class yesterday.
Yeah.
I was wondering who my professor's going to be, and if it's going to be anything of value. And my professor is the former head of digital marketing of Disney. So
Pretty good.
I'd say a little qualified.
Yeah. A little teeny tiny.
Little teeny tiny.
It's not too shabs.
And it's the Disney Film Studio.
Ah. Be like, hey, you know Matt Shackman?
Do you know Matty? Matty Shack?
And he'll probably be like, nope.
Nope.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about because I haven't been there for a while.
Who?
Who?
Never heard of him.
Oh, my God. Tired, I'm hungry. It's the worst combination.
We're just making everybody. All right, let's read some reviews of my professors, Ross. Lance Porter is an absolute legend. Attendance isn't mandatory, though there are a few pop quizzes. But his class is great, so you don't mind going. He is up to speed with world events and pop culture and uses it in all his lectures. Class is always fun and interesting. You can tell he cares. He also lets out early a lot. GOAT.
Nice. I like how the basis of that review being a positive review is show up if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Half the okay. This is an interesting one. This is my favorite part about reviews. These are my favorite kind of reviews. He's an okay teacher. Lectures are pretty straightforward. Expect clear quizzes. No textbook required. Just study and you'll be fine. And then he rated it awful.
What? Oh,
Those are my favorite kind of reviews. Like it's like the that sounded like a great college class.
Yeah.
That review.
Awful.
Awful.
I'm gonna go see if I have any new reviews on Locked On Saints.
Ross, what school do you teach at?
Nope. I don't think that I get them anyway because I'm an adjunct professor. I'm not a full-time professor.
I mean, someone's just gonna sign you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you teach physics and astronomy at Calvin University?
Yes,
Oh, you have a 0 out of 0.
definitely me. Definitely me. All right, here we go.
Nope.
All right, everybody, we are back. Dylan and Ross Say Sports at Dilly Sanders on Twitter. That's Dylan Sanders. Myself, Ross Jackson at Ross Jackson Nola on Twitter. So, Dylan, we're gonna go local here for a little while, but it is also the biggest news of the day in the NFL. I think you can say, rhyme. Ryan Ramczyk signing a 5-year, $96 million extension. Puts him at about $19.2 million per year. Makes him officially now the highest right tackle in NFL history. So it's a historic contract. Just to kind of get your thoughts first, let's stick with Ryan Ramczyk. What does this mean for him? What does this mean for, becoming this, what does it mean for the Saints to keep him around?
It means everything, honestly, Ross. That offensive line is the future. That they're a bunch of really good young players. And I think it was a great move, Ross. I saw the guy that I had mentioned earlier criticized that the Saints are in cap trouble and can't restructure every year, and they don't have a quarterback for sure this year, so they should just rebuild. So that's why he was critical of the move. And that makes no sense to me, Ross.
Nope.
If you have an entire roster that is good and playoff ready, and all you need is the quarterback, just find your quarterback, but keep the roster.
Yeah.
Because then as soon as you find the quarterback, the rebuild is done.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of those. That's something so there's two things that are weird to me about that. First of all, the first point, you can't just restructure everywhere. Yes, you can. Secondly, I think they proved that already. And then also, the other part about all this too is this idea that they don't have a quarterback right now. Can these guys just get a chance to do something? They haven't even been on a field yet. They've been in classrooms. They've done position drills. That's all they've done so far this offseason. So this tired stuff about they don't have a quarterback, and both these quarterbacks, they have blah, blah, blah. Stop it. Stop it. It's too soon. We haven't seen anything yet. You might be right, but you're just as right at this point by trashing these guys than you are as the people who are just completely convinced that they're going to be the future of the franchise. You're just as right, which counts for nothing right now. There's just no point in that. I don't understand it. If you're going to be an analyst, then be an analyst, man.
Don't be a...
Well, just come out here. That's the thing is, you want to just come out here and, just start throwing these opinions around and everything with, no need, nothing to back it up and stuff like that. And, look, I want to support as many people as I can. I want to support everybody. But, you have to come through with something of substance.
But, Ross... Chris Sims said that they're the 23rd and 24th best quarterbacks in the NFL, so they're obviously useless.
They might be, but does that actually make them useless?
No.
You know what I mean? If you're 23rd or 24th in the NFL at this point before you've taken a field, are you useless?
No.
I don't think you are at that point. We have to... I always challenge people to remember that Jimmy Garoppolo took a team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. 2 years. It was an overthrow away from potentially winning a Super Bowl, by the way.
What was good about that team, Ross?
The coaching and the roster around the quarterback and their defense.
Ross,
and
honestly,
they didn't have a quarterback and the offensive line. That was what was best about that team.
Ross, but Ross, the quarterback wasn't great, so they should have rebuilt.
Right. They should have just scrapped it before it all even started, and that doesn't make sense to me at all. Now you have this offensive line that is retaining 89.8% of its snaps going from 2020 to 2021. That's great. That's really good. That's the strongest unit on the team, and it's the most cohesive. That's good news. And bear in mind that 525 of those snaps came from a player that played in place of a now full-time starter and played in place of a player that was dealing with a 4-game suspension as well. So you can actually bring back technically nearly 100% of those snaps coming into 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
you
awesome.
you have players like Michael Thomas coming back, who's going to be healthy. You have Alvin Kamara coming back, who's phenomenal. I don't think you can count this team completely out right now. I understand having lesser expectations than you usually would. Of course, like you're replacing a
But
Hall of Fame
Ross,
quarterback.
They have the 6th best Super Bowl odds in the NFC. You might as well rebuild. That is an actual point. I saw someone used it.
Right. And the other thing that's interesting is like why is that your response to them? Why is that the response to extending perhaps one of your most important players on the roster?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't part of rebuilding also making sure that you have
Good
tent
players.
poles around?
Well, yeah, you're rebuilding, so you should just let all your good players walk.
That doesn't make sense.
So you can maybe draft one in a couple years. That's someone. It's so annoying. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. This does have some potential effects on the team, though. This season, we'll see. There's some short-term money saving here. Yes, they spent $96 million, but they might have actually opened up more salary cap space this offseason. They already had $5.5 million of salary cap space available after they restructured Marshawn Lattimore on his 5th-year option. Now you've extended Ryan Ramczyk his $11+ million, probably the easiest way to say it. Cap hit will probably go down here in 2021 as well. So the Saints are actually opening up cap space as well.
You know what I want to see next year? I want to see them restructure Caden Ellis into like a 20-year, $100 billion contract just to mess with people.
I would love that.
All voidable years.
I would love that. And I would love Caden Ellis being the one to get that press too, because he's such a good dude. So I would be all about that being the case.
Ross, I have another local thing I want to get to.
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we move on.
I think we might have lost Dylan. Or you lost me. It's one of the two. I'm gonna jump over to Twitter. I'm gonna watch our video for a second and then see if I can see myself moving. Or if I froze. Nope, Dylan froze. Yep, nope. All right, so I'm still here. Outstanding. Here, Dylan's FaceTiming me. Hey, buddy.
What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Oh. There you go.
I was getting a phone call. Hey, it's good.
What happened?
My computer's crashing right now.
Bugging. Just bugging.
My computer's bugging. But let's get to this last story real quick, Ross, while I'm on FaceTime.
All right, hold on. I want to make sure that they can hear you. Can you talk for me real quick?
Definitely live, though. I was watching. Hello?
All right, cool. I'm gonna move the pop filter. I'm gonna put you like right here. That way you can both be seen and heard. There you go.
All right. So the last story of the day that I wanted to get to, Ross, was out of LSU. Sharif O'Neal playing in the plays for LSU, and then also playing for the in the Drew tournament. He had a big dunk and dunked on someone, and celebrated afterwards. Then took to Twitter to apologize for letting his emotions show. And Will Wade had something to say about that today, Ross. Will Wade said, you play for the bad boys of the SEC. Quit that apologizing nonsense. Dunk on them, let them know, and then move on.
That's what I'm talking about, Will Wade.
Will Wade knows. Will Wade knows them. You know, I can see why players like him.
For real.
Because I got hyped up. He said, we don't do that apologizing here.
Yeah.
You play for the bad boys of the SEC. Quit apologizing. Dunk on them, let them know, and then move on to the next play.
There you go.
And that's how I think I'll be approached.
That's right. And before anybody says anything about like, oh, well, Will Wade's not a good coach and like a better coach wouldn't say that, that's almost exactly the same type of attitude that Bill Belichick demands of his players too. where he's like, celebrate, intimidate them, let them know that you're out there, that you're having a good time, and that you're winning this game, and remind them about it. Like, he has the exact same thing. So don't come with the, oh, well, Will Wade could be a better coach based on this. This is part of being a good coach.
Mm-hmm. Don't let the media blind you of what being a good coach means. You know what I'm saying?
Dang right.
All right, Ross. Well, we should probably close out early today since my computer's busted.
Yeah, I don't know if when I just leave, if the stream will stop or if it's going to stay live, but you know what? We'll figure it out. Either way, though, we'll be back with you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Dylan right there, at Billy Sanders, myself, Ross Jackson, at Ross Jacksonola. It's just now clicking how absurd this is, what I'm doing right now, and I love it so much. Dylan, I know you got a final word.
Good ideas.
See y'all soon.